Sukkah, Perek Bet, Mishnah Daled. Second chapter, fourth Mishnah. העושה סוכתו בין האילנות. One founds two trees next to each other, and he's going to use them now as the side of the sukkah. This is going one side, and the other tree is another side. והאילנות דפנות לה, and he's going to use the tree as a side. אבל לא סמך את הסכך עליהן. Now, if you put the schach on top of the trees, it's not kosher for Yom Tov and Shabbos. You won't be allowed to go up because you're using the tree and you're not allowed to, because the trees are...
This they're talking about the tree and you put the sukkah on the floor. You don't put it on the trees. They're talking here floor.
Yeah. Of course. You got a tree, a bush this height, and another bush this height. You're going to use this side, and then you put some more schach on top of the two trees. On the top of the trees, you put the schach. So you've got two sides, and you build the third side.
No, I understood that it's a tree and a tree. You put the sukkah, but you put them in this way, and you put the schach. So the trees do not disturb it.
Well, hold on one second. We get it. You have two sides of the sukkah. One side is one tree, one side is another tree. And then what you're going to do, you're going to put, forget this 1 second, we're going to read his you're going to put a third side. You need a third side, so you're going to put a third side. And then where are you going to put the schach? You're going to put the schach on the top of this tree, on the top of the third side, and on top of the other side. That's right. And now what's happening? That the trees are holding the schach. So it's all going to be kosher. But that's not what you did. It's not what you're going to do here. Because if you put it on the trees, it's not going to be kosher. So let's see what he does. אבל לא סמך את הסכך עליהן. You didn't put the schach on the trees. Ilana, you didn't use the trees to hold the schach. אלא על מוטות. You built a frame, like a frame here and a frame here, and you put it on the frame. Because if you put it on the tree,
the tree is just a wall, it doesn't hold the schach.
Oh, very good. In other words, now when you cut off the trees, the schach will still stand. You don't need the trees for the schach.
In other words, if you do frames, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 by 4, and then you do the frame, and here you have a bush, and here you have a...
That's exactly the case.
You put the schach here.
That's exactly the case.
You're going to need one more wall.
That's why you're going to put one more wall, okay?
But a tree with one big trunk, that's not a wall. That's why I say a bush.
Sure it is.
Just that's a wall you can walk.
Yeah, there's leaves over there, and there's it's a wall. Good. There's leaves and there's branches and the thing. It's a tree. You can use it as a side. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be long, big. We already discussed. It has to be, but this big. You got a trunk this big, easy. Yeah. כשרה, it's kosher. ואין חוששים שמא יבוא להשתמש ביום טוב באילנות להניח עליהם חפצים. And you're not worried that you're going to start hanging things on the tree. בגמרא מבואר, in the Gemara it explains, שאין סוכה זו כשרה, it says, we say this sukkah is only kosher, אלא אם כן האילנות היו חזקים, או שקשרם וחזקם. It's only if you're talking about big trees. But because if it's a small tree and it moves by the wind, then it's not kosher. We decided that. עד שלא תהיה הרוח מוציאה, it needs to be such a big tree, such a heavy tree, that wind does not move it. ואף בין האמירים מילה בתבן ובקש וקשר אותם. And he says, and we're talking about even more, because even if the trunk doesn't move, the leaves, the branches will move. So the guy, what did he do? He tied the branches and he put some hay in between so it will not move at all. Yeah, we're talking about such a case. כדי שלא תניד אותם הרוח. שכל מחיצה שאינו יכול לעמוד ברוח מצוין למחיצה, because if the wind moves the branches, then you don't have a kosher mechitza. So, but over here, it's either the trunk is very wide, then you're fine, or you tie the branches so that they don't move in the wind. Okay. Finished. Another rule, up to here, we finished the laws of Sukkah. Now we're going to move the Sukkah building. Now we're going to move to a different area a little bit.
When you sit in the sukkah. No.
We'll see, yeah, close. Shluchei mitzvah. A person who is shliach mitzvah. He goes out, he's a messenger for a particular commandment. For example, kegon. What does it mean? You're a messenger you're doing a particular commandment. Kegon haolchim baderech leakbil pnei rabam. A person who goes to when his rabbi is coming, to greet his rabbi. There's a mitzvah to go greet your rabbi. So a person, your rabbi is coming. It's not like today you fly in. Over there the rabbi is coming, he's walking already for a month. So you go out 3-4 days in order to meet him, and then you walk with him the 3 days. Yeah, you come, you greet him outside of the city, and you walk him in. So if you went out to greet your rabbi, you don't, since you're doing a mitzvah, osek b'mitzvah, patur b'mitzvah, and you're doing one mitzvah, you're not obligated on a mitzvah, you don't have the mitzvah of sukkah. Any shliach mitzvah, it doesn't have the mitzvah. Sha'osek b'mitzvah, so either you greet your rabbi, or lifdot shvuim v'chayotze b'hem, and you have money, you're going to Hamas to give them to take out the kidnapped people, right? So when you go with that money, on the way you don't have to stay in the sukkah because you're doing a mitzvah. Pturim min sukkah, they don't have the commandment of sukkah. It's not upon them. Sha'osek b'mitzvah, the rule is that as long as you're in the middle of one mitzvah, patur min mitzvah acheret, you're not obligated in another mitzvah. But you say, well, hold on one second. But even when you go to greet your rabbi, on the way you're going to, at night you can still sleep. So at the time that you sleep, build the sukkah and sit in sukkah. It's not so that hard. He says, no, you don't even need to do that. ואפילו בשעת חניותם בלילה, even at the time that you camp at night, or ביום, or in the day, פטורים מלתרוע אחר הסוכה. You don't have the obligation to seek a sukkah. It's not your obligation right now. You're doing something else. וכותב המרדכי, and the Mordechai writes, לפי כשנחים וישנים בלילה, בהנאה יכולים לעסוק למחר יותר. Why not? It says because the sleeping at night is part of the mitzvah. Because you're gaining strength for tomorrow. And now, you know what you're going to do? You're going to use that strength in order to build the sukkah. So in other words, you're not going to do the mitzvah the proper way the next day. So that's why you're not obligated in the mitzvah. So this is what it means, the mitzvah. Even if you have the time to build the sukkah, you don't have to. ויש כותבים, and there are those who write, כל העוסק במצווה, פטור מצווה אחרת.
They don't have to do tefillin?
Good question. Yeah. And by the way,
I don't have time now.
Yeah. And by the way, maybe not. Yeah.
The way they write it.
Yeah. Maybe not. Yeah. Maybe not. כל העוסק במצווה, פטור מצווה אחרת. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. For example, a person who his parent, or he's mechuyav in burying a particular person. He has to bury a particular person that it's his obligation. He doesn't have the mitzvah of tefillin. Yeah. Because asuk b'mitzvah. It's not, he has time. He doesn't have the obligation. There's no obligation on him. Yeah? Exactly, that's the same thing over here. I know it sounds strange, but that's the halacha.
How much the mitzvah take from him,
Yeah.
I think. Maybe, who knows? Because גם נטילת ידיים we don't need to do.
What do you mean?
The morning, גם פטור מכל המצווה. I'm שליח מצווה, I don't need to do נטילת ידיים.
Yeah. נטילת ידיים is not a mitzvah, but
The question
נטילת ידיים is not a mitzvah.
בסדר,
But
שמע.
yeah, maybe
The question is
maybe you don't have to do Shema even.
how much.
Yeah. If you're doing one mitzvah, other mitzvahs don't exist right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll tell you another example with the Shema. On the first night of the wedding, you don't have the obligation of Shema at night because you're busy in doing the mitzvah. Yeah. On the first night. Interesting enough. So you can see that it actually applies to everywhere. Okay. כל העוסק במצווה פטור ממצווה אחרת, אם צריך לטרוח אחר אחר, here's the rule. If you need to go out of your way for the other one. If you come somewhere and there's a sukkah already built, use it. Yeah, but if you need to do something to build it, you don't, it's not your responsibility. אבל אם יכול לעשות שתיהם כאחת בלא טורח, but if they can do the two mitzvahs together without putting effort in it, יעשה שתיהם. Good question. Even a pop-up sukkah, I think there's some building to it. You have to do something. Yeah, exactly. And they put the schach on. Even that might be considered Torah. I don't know, but a good question. So that's the first group who don't need to sit in a sukkah. Who don't have the mitzvah of Sukkot, of dwelling in the sukkah. That's the first group. What's the second group? Second group is cholin, sick people. Sick people don't have the mitzvah of sukkah. אפילו חולים שאין בהם סכנה. Any חולה. We're not talking about somebody who's dangerous. Somebody's got a migraine.
A headache. What can make a sukkah mitzvah?
Yeah, he's part of a mitzvah. Yeah.
Why?
Because he's חולה. We'll see why. Good.
בבית.
כמבואר בברייתא בגמרא, here is it, אפילו חש בעיניו. Somebody who's got, he's got a pain in the eyes, ואפילו חש בראשו, somebody got a headache, a simple headache. No, we're not talking about somebody who's going to die or is going to become, is about to faint. So, I've got a headache. Yeah, I'm not going to. That's right. ומשמשהם, not only the חולה, anybody that takes care of the sick, the doctor, the nurse, the wife, whoever it is, והמשמשים את החולים, anybody who takes care of the sick person, פטורים מן הסוכה, they're part מן הסוכה. And Ari asks why, so let's see. שנאמר ויקרא, because it says, בסוכות תשבו. It says you should dwell in the sukkah. You should sit in the sukkah. ודרשו, and they said, תשבו כאין תדורו. It says, you dwell as if you're living in your own home. וכשם שאדם נוהג בדירותו, and just like a person has a custom in his own house, שאינו יושב במקום שמזיק לו או מצטער בו, that you're not going to sit in the corner next to the window if you're cold and the window is open. You're not going to sit in that window, right? You're going to go to a room where there's no windows because you're cold. אף לגבי סוכה כך, also when it comes to sukkah. If it's not, you don't feel comfortable there, that's it. You don't feel comfortable there and you're sick, don't worry about it. שאם מחמת מחושו אינו יכול לשבת בסוכה, if he feels, you know what, it's too many flies outside, I'm sick, I'm weak anyway, I don't feel like going outside. So it's when you, in your house, you wouldn't sit next to the window because of that. So in the sukkah, you don't have to sit in the sukkah, same idea. Because it says dwell in the sukkah, dwell like in your own home. הרי הוא פטור מן הסוכה. Behold, he's not obligated in sukkah. Next one. אוכלין ושותין ארעי חוץ לסוכה. We eat and we drink something which is not permanent outside of the sukkah. So I don't know if we already established it. I don't remember if we learned it or not. But we already said that eating and drinking has to be in the sukkah. And eating and drinking, we said before, eating, no, actually we didn't say drinking, eating. It has a measurement, it's a moitzi or a mezonot, it has to be a meal. Yeah? So it says if it's not a meal, you're not eating a meal, you don't have to eat it in the sukkah, if it's not a meal. You're not sitting down, you're going to say, small thing, yeah, an apple. Person wants to take an apple. היינו, דבר מועט להסיר העוונו. We're not talking about a whole meal, but something, a snack, like we call it nowadays. A snack, you're allowed to have other sukkah. ובגמרא מבואר, the Gemara explained, what's a snack? כשיעור ביצה, the measurement of a snack is the measurement of an egg. שהוא אוכל הנאכל בבליעה אחת. It is a mouthful of a person. Whatever it is. וכותב הרמב"ם, and the Rambam writes, מותר לשתות מים, you're allowed to drink water, ולאכול פירות חוץ לסוכה, and to eat fruits out of the sukkah. But the Rambam adds, ומי שיחמיר על עצמו, it says, anybody who's going to be stringent on himself, ולא ישתה חוץ לסוכה אפילו מים, and he's not going to drink out of the sukkah even water, הרי זה משובח. How much better it is. By the way, I think pretty much the only one that keeps it is the Hasidim. Nobody else keeps it, except Hasidim. Yeah? ויש סוברים, and there are those who hold, שגם יין ושאר משקאות מותר לשתות חולץ הסוכה. So we're going to learn this later on, that even wine and other drinks, not just water, you're allowed to drink out of the sukkah, even wine. You don't have to make kiddush in the sukkah. But that's not the halacha, obviously.